everybody, welcome us the Bass Nerd. I'm Jody, and I'm here with my buddy
Mark.
And today we are here with, introduce yourself,
Chester Hansen
of Bad, Not Good. And we are, well, first I feel like we are in this beautiful place. We want to thank Fret 12 for letting us use their location. If you need a PRS or Illuminati guitar, definitely stop by. They're inside the Salt Shed, which is a newer venue in Chicago that Bad, Not Good is playing today. We got a 4-day fest going on, so thank you, Fret 12. We also want to thank Bass Magazine, and of course, thank us because we are awesome. So, I'm not sure where to begin, but I feel like at the beginning. So, Chester, why don't you tell us like how you got started in bass and music and how that came about?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I came up in a musical family, so my mom is a singer-songwriter, and her grandmother was like a concert pianist, and the whole family was kind of involved in some way.
Cool.
So I started doing piano lessons when I was really little, like probably 4 or 5.
No pressure whatsoever.
Yeah. And that was kind of my only exposure to like making music for years, was just like classical piano lessons. And then when I was maybe 13 or 14, I kind of picked up an old bass like at my aunt's house, I think, and my mom had an old bass too, and like gave me some books, and I just started sort of jamming with some friends and like a rock band. And then I went to an arts high school and picked up double bass and started playing like classical music on that, and then also jazz. And then, really got into playing all sorts of different stuff in like grade 10-ish, I would say.
Sure.
Met a bunch of friends who were like, check out Herbie Hancock, check out this, check out that. And then we started all playing together. And there were a lot of opportunities to play live at the high school, which was
really
awesome.
Good friends, yeah. Like, check out like a friend in high school. Like, oh, you should check out Herbie Hancock.
Yeah.
Wish I had those fucking friends.
And where was high school?
In Ottawa, Canada.
Nice.
So it's called Canterbury High School, yeah.
Very cool.
Big Rush fans?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely.
Are you like a Rush family, you know?
I mean, I'm not like the super fan, but I love them, and I love what they've done for, Canadian music, and what Geddy Lee's done for bass and everything, yeah.
Oh, there's just a lot more in Canada than just Rush, but...
Yeah.
The recent Drumeo video with the drummer from Mars Volta had never heard Limelight by Rush, and then... So they play the track without the drum track in it.
Is this John Theodore?
No, I can't think of her name.
Oh, Philo.
Yeah. So she had never heard this Rush song or who Rush was, and then played, her own interpretation without ever hearing the drum track.
Yeah.
Right. So she just hears the track without the drums, and then puts her own thing.
Oh,
on
I
it.
guarantee that's incredible.
Oh, it's very cool because I mean
one of my favorite like inventive drummers too.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with them?
No, I'm not.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Philo
Sung.
Philo or Philo Tsungi or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah,
we'll put the link down.
But yeah, the Drumeo, because Drumeo's been popping off lately with a lot of these like drummers who haven't heard these very, popular songs, and then they write their own stuff to it. So then they had Mike Portnoy do a Tool song, which he's familiar with Tool, but it was like, all right, you're gonna do this 10-minute Tool song. He spent like 3 hours writing out parts for it.
There's one section where I guarantee he does like the Portnoy fill, which is like the.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that was cool. Anyway, not to get us too sidetracked here. So
Herbie Hancock,
Ottawa,
10th grade.
Yeah. Just had a bunch of different opportunities to play with different friends in high school, and we'd do these like school-wide assemblies where like some of the students would be like the tech crew, some of them would like plan the event, some of them would play, and you'd have to audition for the committee to like be able to play in the auditorium. So it was kind of like a junior music venue basically.
Right.
But we did some really
Battle
cool
of the
stuff.
Bands.
Did a lot of like indie rock that was popular at the time, a bunch of different like covers and original stuff too. So yeah. And then I ended up going to music college after that in Toronto.
Nice.
Which school?
It's called Humber College.
Mm-hmm. And were you doing like performance major, composition? Education?
Yeah, performance. So it's like a jazz, I think it's labeled a jazz program, but you do different stuff too, kind of like, but it's really centric on sort of like learning jazz pedagogy and kind of like how to improvise over standards and all that kind of stuff. So.
Was there one particular professor who stood out in your time there?
Yeah, there were a lot of really good good teachers, but I think what I got most out of school was just meeting the other students and being in that environment where everyone's working so intensely to like improve and learn more and play with each other and stuff. I had 2 really good private teachers. This guy Paco showed me a lot of like Cuban bass lines and different stuff like that. That was really cool. And
That's
then
sick.
this other guy Vaughn was super into the Jocko style. I feel like so he was kind of showing me that stuff in private lessons.
Very cool. What was high school band, name of your high school band?
There were a lot. I mean,
Do you have any favorites that like?
yeah, I mean, I was in a like classic rock style band called The Mob. That was pretty fun. And then
It's a solid name.
Yeah.
then I joined my friend's ska band, which had like 10 people, called the Living Sound System.
All right.
I was playing keys in that for a bit.
Very nice.
Yeah, there was a lot of different stuff.
Cool. So then did you graduate college?
No.
Like most musicians, did a couple semesters.
Yeah, I started going in 2010, and then I met Alex and Matt, who started Bad But Not Good with me, and then I dropped out halfway through second year, and they were halfway through third year, and they also dropped out at the same time. Yeah.
So that's how Bad Bad Not Good got started. So you all went to college together then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then was there like a reason for like, all right, we're all gonna drop out and pursue this thing? Was like something happening there? Or you guys just
Yeah, what was
like,
the catalyst?
Yeah, what?
I mean, we had sort of just started playing together really informally, and Matt got a bunch of his friends to record us like on video playing, and that was like our first couple of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And then we put that stuff out, and it kind of like took off online. And we just sort of kept playing together. We had played a few shows, and we got invited out to London to do the Giles Peterson Worldwide Awards.
Okay.
Oh,
That was
wow.
like our first show outside of Toronto was that show,
Yeah.
and it was like our 4th show ever.
Wow.
Kind of insane.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point of spending tens of thousands of dollars a year on this
So-
degree when
To
we're already
do the
doing it?
thing that I'm doing now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so that was January, and then we all kind of like dominoes thought like one by one, like, you know what, maybe we should focus really hard on this and try to put as much work into it as we can, because you never know.
Right.
So we did that, and luckily my parents were cool with it, and I was able to stay in Alex's dad's basement for a while, and we kind of
Sounds like your parents weren't cool with it.
Well, they were like a few hours away. So
Okay.
yeah, I was able to stay in Toronto at Alex's dad's place, and then we just kept working on stuff, and it was pretty scrappy at the beginning. Like, you know, get in a van, go play shows somewhere.
Right.
We went to Europe.
Play,
we went all
drive
over.
for 5 hours to the
Yeah,
next
yeah.
gig. I get it.
Yeah, it was really it was definitely intense early on, but you know, really classic early touring experience, and it was just kind of kept going from there. Yeah.
Do you feel like now you guys kind of caught your groove, and that part of being a band is a little easier now? And
Yeah, I mean, it's completely different now. I mean, we've been through like some lineup changes, and we have a like bigger crew now, and 2 of the guys have kids. It's like totally different than when we were 19 or 20.
And then what are maybe a couple aspects that are different now than they were then? Like, is it like we just get better hotels, or we're flying everywhere instead of driving? Like, what's the kind of difference that makes it much easier for you?
I mean, I think just being more like aware of who we are as people and what works for us and what doesn't, and being able to be honest about like, you know, I'm really tired. Like I don't want to hang out. Like I don't want to go to the bar. I want to go sleep, and not feeling like every night you're just like trying to party all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like trying to hopefully schedule things in a way where it's like still sustainable, but not, you know, not too hectic.
Nice.
And so starting this band so early on, you know, getting into the mindset of a musician who's in their late teens and early 20s, like I remember, and maybe this is true for you and your bandmates as well, being so obsessed with music and like, this is my identity as being a musician. Was that the case for you back then, and do you still feel that way now?
I mean, yeah, like it was the only thing I was really ever had any affinity for, I would say. Like getting to the end of grade 12, part of the reason why I went to music school is because all my other marks were just terrible. Like, and there was 3 years we had to take math class, and each year I got like 52%, 53%, like 51%. It was just like the teachers were, you know, like, oh, I really don't want to fail this guy. I'm just gonna give him the minimum. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Patton Oswalt has a great bit about being like taking a class at a liberal arts college, and it's physics for poets. The guy just hated his life.
Yeah, for me that was English. Any English class was just like the worst. And I only graduated my senior year of high school because I personally knew the English teacher. Like I knew her brother. I didn't know her. Until...
There it is. Say no more. You ended up in headlines.
Right. And I remember the first day of class, she goes, "Class, my name is Miss, and this is English," and I immediately recognized her voice because her brother had the same like kind of monotone thing. And I hadn't put the names together.
I
was like,
to your brother.
"Is your brother George?" And or I go, "Are you related to a George?" She goes, "That's my brother." And I felt so bad because I would always fall asleep in her class because I just couldn't get into like Shakespeare and you know that whole thing. I still can't tell you what a noun versus a verb versus a pronoun.
That's
I couldn't
depressing.
tell you. Yeah.
So, all right, so you're like, okay, like music is what I want to do. Fast forward to at this point in your career where you've made it for all intents and purposes. Like, you know, like, is that still, do you feel like that's still part of your identity? Or have you found that that's just like you've been able to separate your career from your personal life?
I mean, it's still very much my identity. I think with the band, we got to a place where, like early on, we were, you know, getting together 5-6 days a week and trying to do as much as possible when we weren't touring. So it was pretty like all-encompassing, and I think the last 5 years we really evolved to scale that back to, you know, fit with everyone's personal lives and what they want to do, which is nice. I think it's, you know, healthier.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's kind of the common thread I see when I read a lot of like bands that have been together for a long time, their biographies of the different members. They're always like, yeah, and then, you know, and then so-and-so went off to this place for 6 months, or like so-and-so did this for a year and like made a solo album. It's like you need those sort of breaks from each other, I think, to make it like more. Then when you do get back together, you're like, oh my God, this is so fun. I remember why we started playing together in the first place. And yeah.
Awesome. And in that time, in the time that you've been together as a band, I mean, have you found yourself like writing more solo stuff that's like not necessarily intended for Bad Bad Not Good?
Yeah, I've started writing like maybe 4 years ago, I started writing some kind of more like rocky alternative kind of stuff. Put out a couple songs. I'm still like hopefully going to be finishing a bunch more this year. So yeah, that's been exciting as well.
And are these self-produced?
Yeah, so far, yeah.
It's always the most fun, you know,
Yeah.
especially when you're like creating something like from nothing. It's almost like a bonsai tree, you know. Give you a
Yeah, it
chance
was
to
a
do
totally different experience. Just like get a cassette machine, get a little drum machine, just kind of like lay a bunch of stuff together and see what happens. And also like get used to the sound of my own voice singing, which was difficult.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The worst.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
worst.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like recently put out a record with a band, and like one of the songs they chose is the one time I sing lead, and I hate it.
Yeah, it's hard to get used to.
Yeah, it's definitely hard too. So, and any aspirations to like take that on the road at some point?
I'd love to. Yeah, I had some jams earlier this year with like a couple friends of mine in Toronto, and we were kind of like working out some arrangements. But yeah, I think probably have to finish an album first, and then see if can go play some bars somewhere and see how it goes. Yeah.
What's the instrumentation?
I'm not really sure yet, but I'll probably play guitar and bass and sing, and I have a friend that's like an amazing guitarist and singer, and a friend who's an amazing drummer. So probably try and work it out, maybe 3 or 4 people. Yeah.
That's cool.
Very nice. Do you remember what your first bass was?
Yeah, it was like a red Yamaha. I don't remember the model number, but it was kind of shaped like a P bass on the bottom.
Okay.
Just solid red,
Okay.
and like pickups were black, like a B something. I don't know.
Some long name.
It was terrible. It was terrible.
Nice.
And I had no idea what like action or setup or any of that intonation. Like it just sounded insane. And then actually one of my teachers in high school in grade 10, he taught like a communications technology class, but on the side. Another thing at these assemblies, like the teachers would have a band.
Yeah.
So a bunch of them would get up and do like random covers or whatever, and he played bass, and he was like building his own, what was the brand? Like Washburn, I think.
Okay.
Like a parts bass?
Yeah, and I bought one from him early on. So that was my first like actual functional bass, probably.
So sick.
Yeah.
I still have a Washburn.
Nice.
They're great.
Yeah, they were good, like really affordable.
Yeah, it was like $300.
Right.
Like,
yeah, not crazy, but like it was active. It's like a weird neon green kind of color.
Right.
Sitting at my piano player's house.
Nice.
Do you remember your first amp?
Good question.
Giant acoustic. That's a lot of people.
I think, when I started going to college, I probably didn't really own a bass amp until I went to college, because I would just use whatever amp was at whoever's house was that we were practicing at. And I blew some of my student loan on like a 5-string, I think it was a PV bass.
Okay.
Cirrus.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
That was the hotness.
Yeah.
They're still popular.
Yeah.
And first amp, I can't really remember. I think I had borrowed someone's like Fender Frontman guitar amp, and I was using that for a bit, which was terrible.
Right.
And then, yeah, I mean, at college we had amps in the
Right, in the rooms.
in the room.
Right.
Yeah, early band days, I got a few different things. I got like got a GK combo.
Yeah.
And I got like one of those mini MPEG stacks.
Okay.
That was pretty fun.
Those are great.
Yeah.
The little like SVT mini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have like a B15, and for touring I use like GK, just like 810 and RB amps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is, like at any point, like while you were kind of like, you know, trying out different amps and basses and stuff, like when did you find like, oh, this is my sound. This sounds correct to me?
Well, early on, when we started, we were kind of just playing whatever we had, and then we did there was a few different things that kind of like shaped how I viewed tone and like playing and bass in general. Like
it seems like you're trying to hold something back. You don't want to be controversial.
No, I'm just trying to
okay.
get the timeline in my head.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like when I started playing when I was younger, I was into all kinds of different stuff. But then my bass teacher gave me the James Jamerson book, and that was like my first probably like oh shit moment of just realizing how deep it is.
Right.
Like
This can be bass.
to get
you know,
really,
right?
really, really good at bass, and to like serve the song in that way and still be doing all that stuff. I mean, he's definitely influenced, most modern players if they play anything similar to that kind of music, I feel like. So there was that whole thing, but then I was also going to jazz school, and everyone's like checking out very like bright sounding modern bass players like playing crazy solos and stuff. So I was trying to like bridge those two things in my head. I was like, I don't really know what to do. So that's hence the like PV. But then we did a record. We did some recording at Dunham Studios in New York, which was the studio of Menahan Street Band, like Tommy Brannick and those guys, and Nick Movshin, like who's the bass player for Menahan. I saw him live a couple times, and we listened to all those Charles Bradley records and Sharon Jones records, and I was just like, wow, this is kind of like what I want to do, like this style and this sound, but like as a modern, like music that's coming out now, but really has that like
that vintage aesthetic, the retro
feel. Yeah.
Is that Daptone
Yeah,
Records?
yeah, exactly.
That whole scene. Yeah.
So then I got a Gibson EBO bass,
Nice.
and that was my first like vintage bass. And that was really played that for years, like beat the crap out of it on tour, and and then I got my Gibson Grabber, which I still have, and now I have a vintage P bass as well, which I got like maybe 7 years ago.
It was like a 70s, the natural one.
Yeah.
I've seen like few videos and photos of that one.
Yeah.
I love those early 70s P basses, man. They have such a good sound.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best. But for touring, I have this amazing Mulan bass, which is like
Yep.
Yeah.
basically like a replica of that.
Did you get hooked up with Kevin Scott?
No, I don't think so. I was talking to someone named Andy, pretty
Well,
sure.
yeah. So Kevin's just like, he's another like session musician. He's playing with Government Mule and stuff, and he was like the poster child for them. He was like,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
trying to put it in everybody's hands as possible, and like that was the first time I had ever heard and played one. And
Yeah.
it was, you're right, it just nails. There's really not a lot of basses out there, especially in that like sort of price point,
Yeah.
that really do that job so well.
Yeah, I just wanted something where it's like, I'm not gonna lose all my hair if it gets dinged up like on the
Right.
airplane or whatever, and it's very sturdy, and I could get another one if something terrible did happen. Not like the 60s speed bass. You're like,
Right.
yeah,
Right. Do you find yourself using any effects pedals?
yeah, especially for this stuff now. I've like added more pedals as the years have gone on. So like I have a couple fuzzes, octave,
Yeah.
and I have. Do you guys know jam pedals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
yeah.
a really.
Are they out of Israel?
They're from Greece.
Greece, that's right.
I just got this really cool like chorus phaser combo
Yeah.
pedal that they do, and a wah pedal. So that's
Yeah,
pretty much it.
and I think they have a fuzz wall now too. It's really sick for
Right,
bass.
right.
Yeah,
Cool.
they're awesome. Like their pedals, like they always look really cool, and like I never really like played any of them until there was a chorus that came out that I think that was intended for guitar, but I remember playing that like I was playing it through like a Fender Princeton,
Right.
and it just sounded so sick. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really sweet.
So we were chatting a little bit before we started rolling, and it sounds like this is the last show for a little bit of a break, right, with you guys?
Yeah.
And then what do you have? Do you guys have anything lined up for, say, the next year and a half? Kind of what's the trajectory, for the near future you guys got going on?
Yeah, well, we just have a bunch of different dates like through the rest of the year. I'm getting married in 2 weeks, so there's like a little break there. Managed to clear 2 weeks of my schedule.
Right.
And then after that, just some different dates through like North America, possibly going overseas too. We're still like figuring some stuff out, but
Sure.
we just put out like a new instrumental project last month, or
Nice.
over the last, I guess, 2 months. And we have a ton of music kind of on the shelf or in the vault that's hopefully some of it's going to come out this side of the year too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I noticed your Star Trek shirt
Yeah,
that you're wearing.
yeah.
Are you a little bit of a Trekkie, or is that just...
Yeah, definitely.
Jody's over here like, are you a fella Trekkie?
Well, so I got my wife into Star Trek, and then I exposed her to Next Generation during COVID, and then she took that ball and ran with it. So now she's like Deep Space Nine and Voyager and all, and then,
Yeah.
so now it's like she puts like Voyager on whenever she's like making dinner or something. It's like her background shows and stuff now. Do you have a favorite Star Trek series?
I was gonna say, like, what's your favorite generation?
Yeah.
Definitely Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DS9.
For me, it's like the most deep in terms of the stories and the thematic material, and just like it hit that. It was kind of just coming out of Next Generation, which
Right.
started like, I mean, all of it's like kind of kitschy and like
Sure.
funny, but there was a lot of just like really amazing acting, I thought, and really, really great writing overall.
Right.
And I don't know, it was kind of like the effects were getting better in the 90s.
That was a
and-
big one.
Yeah.
I remember when I showed her, so we started Next Generation, and the first couple seasons are pretty terrible in terms of like special effects and like camera work. And
That would have been like what, the early
cinematography.
'90s, late '80s?
Yeah, it had to be early 90s, right?
Yeah.
And just some really terrible like set design. And then I think by like season 3, 4 it like starts to catch a groove. But still you're talking about 90s era, special effects and stuff like that. And what's nice about DS9 is they had their own new, crew of people, but a lot of people from Next Generation would pop in, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you got a little bit of that nostalgia there.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard it, but there's a podcast called The Seventh Rule, which is like Sirach Lofton, who plays Jake Sisko.
Okay.
He has a podcast where they interview a bunch of the cast members and like the makeup people and the set design and they started during COVID, so it's really awesome.
I'll get my
Very
also put that on
informative.
my wife's thing. Do you get into Lower Decks?
No, I haven't yet.
No?
I haven't really. I mean, I've seen the new Picard and most of the Discovery, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm still more about like the '90s stuff, I think.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Discovery, if I'm being honest. I didn't watch Lower Decks, but my wife was watching it, and she got in like end the first season, and she was kind of like, I don't know. And then I caught her watching it some more, and I was like, I thought you were into this. She's like, no, I like it now.
Well, sometimes when you start something, you just have to finish
finish
it,
it, yeah.
even if it's not your favorite.
Yeah, you need like the story arc. You need to like see that.
Right.
through.
And
Yeah.
then, I felt like, I was going to watch Picard just for Jean-Luc, right? But the first couple seasons were a little whatever, but then that last season.
Last season was good, yeah.
It was really, really good.
I just read his biography too, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Really, really
I
cool.
haven't checked it out.
When did that come out?
Maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like him talking about his early life and upbringing and theater career and stuff.
What got you into Star Trek?
Probably my dad. Like I think my parents split up when I was like 8 or 9, and then so we'd go to my dad's on weekends. And he did this thing. I think like Netflix started like this too, but it was called zip.ca, where you order DVDs in the mail.
Yep.
Right.
And you send them and return them. So we got a bunch of different shows, and like Star Trek was big for him. We got a bunch of Next Generation and stuff. Yeah.
There was a really good interview on NPR. I think it was Terry Gross with Patrick Stewart. And they really get into the beginning of Next Generation and how I want to say he was doing like Broadway or like really a theater guy. And he had an opportunity to do Next Generation. And it really, his management was like, listen, you should do it, but it's probably not going to go anywhere. Next Generation, this is a remake of another show. They usually don't do very well. And then it, obviously becomes this massive thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
here's a plate of crow.
Right. And then he was talking about, well, your name is Jean-Luc Picard, but you don't have a French accent on the series. He's like, well, we're talking about that in the beginning. And, if you watch the credits in the beginning of Star Trek, these are the voyages, to Boldly Go, whatever. He goes, so we did that, and it was like, these are the voyages of the station. It was like so terrible that we're like, no, we're not going to do that. You just use your natural voice. But if you get a chance, if you haven't listened to that interview, it's really, really good.
I'll check it out
For sure. Where do we want to go next on this? We got Star Trek. We got Bad, Bad, Not Good.
Well, how do we feel about Star Wars? I think it's a natural transition.
I mean, yeah, I love Star Wars as well.
They do exist. Like the crossover.
the both?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't hate. I mean, except for those middle ones with the Phantom Menace. Like, we could do without any of those, right? Those
Yeah.
are terrible.
I suppose. They're necessary to the story.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, they came out, 30 years later, 20 years later?
Yeah, I wonder what would happen if they were made now. It'd be a lot
Hopefully they
different.
would've
That's just
been
interesting
worse.
though. Like you were like you're really into like the '90s aesthetic. Like that. I always worry that would be like a distraction for me, like to enjoy something. But then I find myself every once in a while watching shows like The West Wing or Buffy. And shit like that. Do you ever get into Buffy?
No.
Yeah, the camp is. I feel like the camp is very similar
Right.
to like Next Gen and Deep Space Nine. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess like. Other than like the wedding that's coming up, like the touring, like the solo record and stuff, you have anything else that you're like really excited about, like coming out in the next year?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I don't know. I've been delving into some more kind of like session stuff in the last couple years. I played on a record that was produced by Tommy Brennick from Manahan, this amazing Brazilian artist named Roger.
Awesome.
Just like to shout him out because it's a great project, and we got there's some more stuff hopefully coming out.
What's the instrumentation like that with Jose?
He sings and plays like nylon guitar.
Nice.
And it kind of changed. Like there's an amazing percussionist that he plays with who's also Brazilian, and like had a couple of different amazing drummers, and yeah, a whole bunch of people played on it. So it was a big crew. But no, we've been doing a lot of different stuff too. Like we did an EP with the singer Baby Rose that came out a few months ago, and she was amazing to work with. I think we're just sort of excited to see what happens next and kind of, I don't know, like reach out to whoever wants to make some more music.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, when you're not on the road, when you're not in the studio, and when you're not planning a wedding,
Yeah.
what's the downtime for you?
I mean, just kind of normal stuff like cooking, hanging out with my girlfriend or fiance and my dog.
What kind of dog you got?
He's like a Pomeranian mix. Yeah,
And
pretty.
his name is?
Comet.
Comet,
Yeah, he's
cool.
pretty crazy, but we love him. Yeah, just I don't know, random stuff like watching Sci-Fi.
Just sort of, it sounds like you just like enjoy like slowing down, because like
Yeah.
in this profession there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of logistics, there's like so many moving parts, and like that's a very common response. Like I just like to chill and just like be in a normal environment.
Yeah.
So as far as cooking, like have you experimented with any like exciting types of cuisine or dishes lately?
Not really, honestly. The last stretch of my life has been really crazy. Like I was actually in the hospital in September for like 2 weeks, and then I had a bunch of recovery time from that, like over the whole winter. Actually had to get a friend, Felix Pistorius, to fill in for me for some
We
of
saw that,
these
yeah.
guys' shows. So shout out to Felix.
Hey, Felix, when are you coming on the podcast, bro?
To like have your sub be Felix Pastorius,
It's pretty insane.
that's
yeah.
I mean
He's
like
very, very overqualified for what we do. But it was really sweet of him to do that, and
he's a sweet
he's
dude.
just like a really nice guy, and obviously killer, insane player. So I think it was cool for me to see from my couch, just like sick, watching like little clips of them playing. It was fun.
And were there any like dietary restrictions while you were like post procedure?
Yeah, so I had pancreatitis caused by gallstones, which I don't know. It's complicated. Basically, a bunch of stuff got fucked up and swollen, and I had to get my gallbladder removed, and I had to really, really watch what I eat for like 6 months. And I still do. Like I had to quit drinking and smoking.
These are not bad things anyway.
No, it's cool. I'm 10 months sober now, so.
Congratulations.
It feels good. It feels like it was the right time to do it, even though it wasn't really by choice.
Right.
But no, yeah, feeling a lot better now and can kind of eat more different stuff. And so getting back into that, like I didn't play any shows from September until basically May. So it was a really long time, like a lot of downtime.
Did you, like what was like the like when the moment that you got back into the swing of things, like just was there like an emotional return, even though it wasn't like a very long leave, but
yeah, oh for sure. I mean, it was very, very emotional. I mean, I didn't even know, like at the time I didn't have a grasp on how like severe it was. I was like, can I tour again? I don't know. Is this gonna be a thing? Like, will we have to find someone else? We'll have to quit. Like.
You got that Canadian healthcare, son.
I mean, that was great. That was.
Thank goodness for that. Yeah.
They really came through. But no, yeah, coming back to playing music and just thinking about how grateful I am for, playing with these guys and just all the stuff we've been able to do, and just playing music in any capacity is really a blessing. So it really put that in perspective.
And once you returned, like, did you feel that like your health started to like even get better?
Yeah, it was just a gradual thing of like getting stronger, and then realizing like, okay, I need to, I really need to sleep like 7 or 8 hours a night. That's a must, and like, I really need to make sure I eat this kind of stuff, and I can't really eat that, and I gotta think about how much coffee I have and all these things. But it's a learning process, and yeah.
Like there is a way to do like what you do as a professional musician without having to like go through the grind.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know like there's a bit of a like gatekeeping attitude sometimes that I've come across with some of the more seasoned musicians. Oh, you got to put in your time, you got to do the grind, you got to fight into that. Like, do you think that's still necessary in this day and age?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by the grind. I guess like
saying yes to everything, traveling all over the place, eating shit. Like
there's a certain amount that I think is unavoidable unless you know, I mean, there's plenty of artists today where they get really big, whether it's on like social media or some other avenue, like they get a big following and then they can immediately start playing to like 1,000 people, which is definitely like, yeah, that's more common now. But
And you all were sort of at the beginning of that started like the change in dynamic, yeah?
yeah, it was kind of both. I mean, there was like that initial boost that was amazing of, you know, people checking us out from YouTube and things. But yeah, we definitely played a lot of shows to like 50, 100 people, 150 people, and it just keeps growing from there. I think, I don't know, I think playing live, like depending on what kind of music you do, is a really valuable tool, and not just for growing your crowd, but for, you know, growing your music and like improving and learning more about how to write music or play music. I don't know. Yeah, there's no one answer that fits everyone. I think.
Do you have like any favorite venues or like fests that you guys have played in the recent past?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, this venue is honestly really sweet.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah, let's. They sent us now.
Well, you were saying this is your first time here at Salt Shed. Salt Shed is
It's the
a newer
inaugural
venue.
festival, yeah.
Right, right.
What other venues in Chicago? Have you played other venues in Chicago?
A lot, yeah, we did. Our first show here was in like 2012 at the Empty Bottle.
Yeah, I was gonna say bottle. Yeah.
And that was pretty funny. Literally, people were throwing bottles on stage.
Oh,
I don't know if
we've
that's
all
like a
played
tradition
there.
but
I love the bottle.
Yeah.
And that actually, they're like the guy Bruce Finkelman who founded Empty Bottle is part of the organization who started this as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did Subterranean. We did
And there.
bunch of like Metro.
That's one of my favorites in Chicago for sure.
Is there a place? There's a place called Concord.
Yep, Concord
yeah,
Music Hall.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
Kind of a bunch. We opened for Lettuce actually at
Really?
at Concord.
Concord,
that was,
yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Nice.
What was funny about it?
Just like I think everyone was really there to see Lettuce, and there was like a silent moment in our set, like a big pause before like a drum fill, and some guy was just like, "You suck."
Oh, come on.
It was really funny.
Why do people feel compelled to do shit like that?
I don't know.
Was it like a festival after show?
Yeah, it was part
like
of the
North Coast?
festival or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
So everybody's fucked up at that point.
Well, so outside of Chicago, a couple like favorite places to play.
No, basically just Chicago.
Yeah, fuck every other city ever.
Toronto,
actually-
obviously, right?
We just did a tour in Europe, and we played like a ancient kind of historic amphitheater in Croatia, like right on the ocean. It's near
cool.
Split, Croatia. That was amazing. Really,
I keep
really
hearing
cool.
how beautiful Croatia really is. I still have yet to visit.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Like how far back does the amphitheater date? You know?
I think it was like a couple thousand years old or something. It was really, really old, and they had revamped it recently and started having shows there. And,
I wonder what a 1,000-year-old sound system sounds like.
yeah. Anywhere like that is always really cool when you get to play somewhere that's like. We did another amphitheater in France and in Vienne that like was a Roman amphitheater, and now they do a big jazz festival there, and stuff like that is pretty crazy.
Is there like I guess since you're playing worldwide, is there a place that has a what you would consider maybe a bigger, more positive following for Bad Bad Not Good? Like where your homies at, you know?
I mean, I don't know. We've been really lucky that it's kind of there's a lot of different places where that would fall into that category, but especially like there's certain spots like Brazil where we always have a really good time, or Mexico.
That's like always anytime a band ever announces a tour.
Come to Brazil.
Come to Brazil. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere that you feel like Nebraska? We can't ever sell tickets in Nebraska.
I mean, yeah, we've never really done like a lot of the middle of the U.S.
Yeah.
I think it's just like a different market, and like different kinds of music is popular there. But recently we did like Wichita, Kansas. We did a festival there. That was sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know. We had a really roaring show in Cleveland, Ohio a couple of years ago. That was awesome.
Cleveland rocks,
Yeah.
right?
Speaking of Cleveland, you all probably don't know who this is, but I wanted to give my condolences to the family of Pat Daly, who was basically the put-on bay equivalent of Jimmy Buffett. He was like
Oh,
this,
wow.
like kind of like, you know, island singer and stuff. This is more of an inside joke between me and my friend Judd, but he's got a song called Doobie and a Brew and some Poontang too. So rest in peace, Pat.
Anybody who wrote that song is good by me.
Yeah.
You want to get into some rapid fire here?
I think it's about time to do that. You feeling up for it?
Sure.
All right.
So these are bass-related questions. There are no wrong answers. They're just
Cool.
kind of meant to be, you know, first thing off the top of your head type of thing. If there's something you don't want to answer, you just say next, and we'll move on to the next one.
Okay, cool.
I lost my page here. Give me 1 second. You let your wife take your notebook, and now you're.
I see my handwriting in there. What the hell?
I don't know. Should be.
A bunch of chicken.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
All right, so yeah, like I said, bass related. Mark might come in at the end with some food related.
Sure, yeah, whatever.
And we'll go from there. All right, here we go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Active or passive basses?
Passive.
Maple or rosewood fretboards, or ebony or whatever you prefer.
Doesn't really matter. I guess maple.
Okay. Do you have a favorite speaker size?
I like 10-inch.
Okay. Well, you said you're touring with an A10.
Yeah, usually,
I like a good
yeah.
10-inch.
All right. Yeah, you do. This is a hard one. Do you have a favorite bass player or a couple of your favorite bass players?
Sure. I mean, can I do a few?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I said Jamerson already.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jocko. Early on for me, it was definitely like John Entwistle, Geddy
Yeah.
Lee, and Flea, like people like that, kind of like more front kind of bass style playing. And
Sure.
when you're a kid, you're like, oh, that's a bass, wow.
Yeah. Nice.
And then, I mean, since he's here, like Thundercat is insane.
Right.
And yeah, Nick Mopshin. There's a lot.
Very cool. Do you have a piece of gear you regret getting rid of?
That Yamaha, I bet.
Maybe that EBO bass that I was just talking about.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I kind of had to sell it
Yeah,
just
to
to
money issues.
pull money for some
Yeah.
other gear. But yeah,
Pretty common.
I can find another one.
Yeah.
Hard shell or hard case or gig bag?
I mean, I've always checked my bass,
Yeah.
and I've been lucky with that. I don't think I have the social confidence to bring it on the plane every time and be
Okay.
like, this needs to go up there, and
Right.
explain it to 100 different flight attendants.
Right. So you're a hard case guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a specific hard case that you prefer, like a SKB or whatever?
I have an SKB one. It's been great for years and years. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Tube or solid state?
Tube generally. Yeah.
Okay. And then we touched on this briefly. What's your current bass rig?
Right now, well, for live, I use a like GK 1000 or 2000, and then an 810.
Okay. You said you got a B15, right?
And I have a B15, and then sometimes for recording, I'll use like a Fender Bassman or whatever is at the studio that we're at. Yeah.
Okay. And then what's you're saying you were playing the Maloon bass, right?
Yeah, Mulan. I use that live, and then I have like a 60s P bass that I mostly use in the studio, and a Gibson Grabber that I use sometimes as well.
Awesome. And then do you have a favorite pedal?
Good question. I have a clone of the Maestro Brassmaster, like
Those are
fuzz
sick.
pedal, which is really fun. I use it for
The Ass Master, right?
Yeah, anytime I need to
Maleko, right?
No, it's actually a different company. It's called Leighton Audio.
Okay.
I think they're like a shop in the UK, but
Okay.
yeah, I use that anytime they make me take a bass solo. I turn it on.
Nice, nice. Do you have a favorite string, brand or nickel, whatever, flat wound? Like, what do you typically
Flats
go
for sure. I just use D'Addario chromes, and
Yeah.
I never change them. Like I've had the same pair on my P bass for 8 years, and I only change them if they break, and they never break.
Do you have a favorite hardware finish? Black, chrome, gold, nickel,
You mean like?
knobs,
Oh.
and stuff like that?
It depends on the bass. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
Okay. Do you have thoughts or feelings about relict instruments?
Like where they're made to look old?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's kind of unnecessary.
Okay.
Like I like the Mulan because it is a replica of an old bass, but they didn't do any of that. It's just
Right.
it's just
New old
good
stock.
quality like
Yeah.
wood and stuff like that. That's all put together. I don't really think you need to make it look older than it is.
Okay.
I don't know.
And this is my favorite question to ask. Is there a band or artist you wish you could play with, maybe for a tour or an album or something, like someone you could sit in with and be their bass player for a run?
That's a great question. I've always kind of had a desire to play in like a really like an indie rock band, just something completely different, like where it's just your role is much more defined and still like, and the music is still really cool and you can kind of fit in, like Broken Social Scene or something like that, or like the
Good
Killers,
answer,
or
Yeah.
I don't know, like.
And then I'll toss it over to Mark to give you some random other questions.
Yogurt or pudding?
Yogurt.
Yogurt? What's
Yeah.
your favorite yogurt flavor?
Currently Greek yogurt, just basically any flavor.
Fruit at the bottom or stirred?
Probably just plain or vanilla, honestly, no fruit. Well, I'll add the fruit.
Are you a big fan of probiotic drinks like kefir and stuff like that?
Now I've gotten into that the last year because of that stuff I was talking about. Yeah.
All right, this is the most difficult question you'll have to answer.
Yeah.
Pizza or tacos?
Fuck.
Think of your favorite pizza.
Then your
then
favorite taco?
Think your favorite taco.
That's really tough. I think if it was like one or the other, dead or alive, like yeah, probably pizza.
Nice.
Probably pizza, but
Salad.
That's very close.
What's your go-to pizza topping?
I like just a classic like margarita, cheese, basil.
That's the
Tomato.
same here. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like if you fuck that up, like it's not gonna be good. Are you like what's your favorite like movie genre?
Probably like sci-fi or action,
That makes sense. That
thriller,
tracks.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And then as far as like literary genre,
Yeah, sci-fi, fantasy. I was big into like reading extended Star Wars books, extended universe when I was younger, and
do you ever get
all
into like
kinds of
Philip
stuff.
K. Dick?
Yeah.
The short stories are a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
so fun, like the parallels, like all the movies and stuff, and like TV shows that were made after his short stories. It's wild to see draw the comparisons. VHS or DVD?
Streaming.
That's a great question. I mean, I'm old enough to remember both.
Right.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Probably DVD. I don't know. I never really had that much of a connection to VHS.
Yeah.
It's not like vinyl.
I think it's just really the sound and just like the sitting down and like the
Yeah.
there's a commitment to watching something on VHS.
Yeah.
You know.
For sure.
What about like games? Do you ever like do any sort of gaming?
Yeah. I was big into Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I pretty much, that's all I did when I was like sick at home last year. I was playing Tears of the Kingdom.
That's awesome. So like super into like fantasy games and stuff?
Yeah.
What's
I've only
your,
ever
go-to
had
system?
Nintendos, really.
Yeah.
Like all the way from N64 when I was little, and then I
Yeah.
had every system until the Switch. Yeah.
And so you're mostly doing that on you're mostly playing Switch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
That's
much.
awesome. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all I've got. I know we got to jet out of here in a minute, and so do you. But Chester,
Cool.
thank you so
Of
much
course, yeah, I
for letting us
appreciate you
gab
guys.
with you.
If somebody wants to find you on the internet, where should they look?
Yeah, you can check. I got Instagram, Chester Hansen Music, or the band's Instagram, BADBADNOTGOOD. And yeah, all my whatever I do is probably going to be there.
Awesome. All right, thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate you watching.
Thanks again to Fret 12 for hosting us.
Yes.
And for Rose on the River and Salt Shed and for Bass Magazine. Until next time.